Good evening. We're back with more Marvel Champions, and this evening will be a hero spotlight for SPDR. We will take a quick look at this leadership SPDR deck, and then we'll dive into the game, starting with Ebony Maw on expert difficulty. So we're running a Web Warriors SPDR deck, which is predictable because rapid response, make the call, to a lesser extent regroup, are extremely good with the ally Spider-Man Peter Parker, who is one of the best allies, if not the best ally in the game. And running leadership, we can run White Tiger as well. Scarlet Spider is a Web Warrior that I like quite a lot. Don't know that I see him included in that many Web Warrior decks, but I like that card. And then we also have Otto Octavius from the SPDR set. And of course, the usual package of Beast, Kalu, Maria Hill, White Tiger. Then we also have Ghost Spider from Sinister Motives. So let's dive in. SPDR is a hero that surprised me quite a lot during this spotlight because initially when I was going through the heroes, I thought SPDR was garbage. But upon playtesting her more, I discovered she's not garbage and she can actually get some things done. She's nothing exceptional. In my playtesting against Heroic 1 quests, she flunked out on Green Goblin Mutagen Formula, which is roughly the same level as Nova, but she was able to get through Rhino, Absorbing Man, and Crossbones, which surprised me. So we'll test her out against Ebony Maw, and we'll see how that goes. So we need to discard until we get 2 spells into play. There's spell number 1. And spell number 2, and that is going, then we need to shuffle the discard back into the deck as per the text on attack on nowhere. We can draw, we just get 4 cards. Gonna drop Scarlet Spider, probably Beast as well. Beast is good, it's just not what I want. Turn 1. So to start out, we'll use SPDR Suit to draw 2 cards using the Alter Ego action. And we can go ahead and flip. And we'll play Web of Life and Destiny. We'll play Kalu. Look at the top 5 for an event. Make the call. And I think I'll use SPDR Suit to pay for All Systems Go. So if you haven't seen SPDR in action before, her suit has this resource ability, exhaust an interface upgrade you control to generate that upgrade's resources. So each upgrade that you get out can then be used either for its primary function or to generate resources. So here we're going to play All Systems Go to search the deck and discard pile for an interface upgrade. And that is going to be the most important one in the SPDR set, which is Host Spider. And then we'll use 3 resources to play Host Spider. And we'll use it to ready the SPDR Suit and deal 2 damage, and we'll deal 1 damage with Kalu. And then we just draw 3 cards. And we got 1 threat, we got 1 activation from Ebony Maw, which is going to invocate, which reduces a counter from each of these spells, and they're going to go off when they get to 0. And then we'll have Ebony Maw attack Kalu. And we got 1 encounter card, which will be Rubble Storm, and that surges into Agent of Thanos. Deal 1 damage to your hero for each spell environment in your play area. Okay. Let's use SPDR suit for another all systems go and grab an upgrade. I think we'll probably grab the damage upgrade next. Which is web fluid compressor. Thinking about actually using Host Spider and Power on all of us here to stun the boss. I think we gotta do that. Let's go 5 damage and a stun. Then I'm gonna thwart for 2 and I'm gonna flip to alter ego. And then just draw 3. Need to make use of SPDR's alter ego as much as possible while setting up because it draws cards. So 1 threat, 1 scheme for 4, and then 1 encounter card, which will be exhaustion. Surges into under fire. Reactor overload, take 2 damage, replace 2 threat. I'll take the 2 damage. Then the second card will be restrained. Attached character cannot ready until we spend those resources. Well, we'll have to do that. Lightning and strength resources. Let's draw 2 cards. We'll flip. We'll use Host Spider for the wild resource. And I guess it's got to be strength to get rid of restrained. That was very costly. We can go do I have Peter Parker in my discard? No. No, we haven't seen him yet. Well, we'll go 1, 2 for Auto Octavius, and I can ready an upgrade I control, which will be Host Spider. And I'll use that to ready up SPDR suit. Thwart for 2. Thwart for 1. This is still going to advance though. And I'll just draw 1. So this is going to advance the main scheme. Shuffle the encounter discard pile in and then go find another spell environment. We got Power Stone, remove stun. So no activation, which means no decrease in these counters. Attached to Ebony Maw, prevent all damage to Ebony Maw after 2 or more damage from a single attack. Discard it. Okay. Well, we can go 1, 2, get out, web fluid, compressor. And I'm going to deal 4 damage. Ready up. Flip, exhaust to draw 2 cards. Ooh, Ant-Man Uncle Ben is really good. So I'll get that out. Exhaust it. Discard the top 3 cards of the deck. Add it. Each SPDR card discarded to your hand. Just 1. Which I'm actually going to get rid of. And then draw 3. So we're starting to get set up. Got 1 threat. We got a thwart for 1, 2, 3. After the last invocation counter is removed, discard it. Exhaust each upgrade you control, and you are stunned. It's very painful. Same thing. So no problem there. And then we got 1 encounter card, which will be Fireball. into Blood to Spare. Each minion engaged with a player activates, otherwise we need to search for a Black Order minion. But we don't have to reveal it, so that's not that bad. Okay, still going to use the suit to draw 2. We'll flip. Well, first we'll go Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Aw, that's painful. Then we'll flip. Go SPDR suit for Speed Metal Alloy. Speed Metal Alloy and Rapid Deployment for Maria Hill. Still no Peter Parker in the discard pile, right? Nope, he's still in the deck. Play Psychic Link. Thwart for 2. Kill the Outrider, draw a card. I think I will power on all of us to Across the Spider-Verse, exhaust Web of Life and Destiny, grab a Spider-Verse, a Web Warrior. Won't use the secondary function, but it's still pretty good, pretty high value. And then we'll just draw 3. And we got 1 threat, invocating, which means deal 2 damage to each character you control. Discard 1 card at random from your hand and you are confused. And then we have an attack which will go on SPDR. We'll just face tank for 4. And then we got 1 encounter card, which will be Rebel Storm, Landing Craft. Okay. Let's see if we can draw any. Nope. And there goes Spider-Man. We'll remove the stun. Ready up. And anything else I want to do? I can get out SPDR command. Get out rapid response. Let's actually leave the stun. Let's remove the confuse first. Then I'm gonna get rid of landing craft. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna thwart for 2. Gonna flip. Gonna heal for 4. And draw 4. There's make the call. We got 1, 2. We got a thwart for 1, 2. And we got 2 encounter cards. Manipulation. Black Dwarf. Restrained. Brutal. Spend Lightning Strength. Well, Lightning Strength, that will do it. Draw 2. Flip, ready. Now first, I want to see if we can draw anything. 1, 2, 3. Then we'll flip and ready. I don't think there are any upgrades left in my deck for All Systems Go. I'm going to remove the stun. This is a terrible, terrible hand. Really, really bad. I'm going to exhaust SPDR and I want to discard. Now I think I want to draw a card. So we want to draw something to play with these resources. Okay. Well, I can use power and all of us. Make the call for all systems go. Ready up each interface. Ready up SPDR. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Will all systems go again. Ready up. Go 4 damage. 5, 6. I'm gonna discard most of this and then draw 2. Okay. 2 threat. Activate. One encounter card. Inherited Burden. Okay, let's see if we can draw anything. Draw 2. Let's go 1, 2, 3 for White Tiger and draw 2. We'll flip, we'll go 1, 2 for Web Trap. 5 into stun. White Tiger for 2. Host Spider. Let's use Web Compressor instead for the previous thing and then remove 4th threat. We can go rapid deployment for regroup. Discard a card from hand and ready an upgrade. Any upgrade will do, and then we'll generate a resource and all systems go to ready each interface upgrade. Ready up SPDR. Deal 2. So actually the damage should have been prevented twice, and then we just get rid of abjuration, but we still get the stun on them. And then we'll go ahead and draw 3. Okay, so we got 1 threat, we got a stun, no invocate, and we got an encounter card which is Black Order Infantry. So let's see if we can draw anything. Nope. Regroup does leave. I did not play that well at all. 1. 2, 3, 4. So we use 4 for Nick Fury and draw 3. Go 1, 2, 3, 4 for Beast and grab a resource card. And then energy for Web Trap. Well, that will only be 5 damage, not a stun, because I'm not using a sync or a sync ratio card. That's alright. You need to go 1, 2, 1, 2. and then use SPDR to deal with the toughness, and then we can go in 2, 3, 4, 5, and use White Tiger to drop Ebony Maw into phase 3. Discard until a spell card is discarded. And that'll be all. We'll go ahead and draw 3. So 1 threat. A lot of stuff's gonna happen. 4 damage to my identity. 2 damage to each character. That's painful. 2 damage to each, or no, I already did that. And then 1 random card and a confuse. But I can't survive this attack unless I get lucky. Well, I can. I just have to use Speed Metal Alloy. So I live. And then Caught Off Guard discards an upgrade or a support. Actually, did I want to bring Beast back in? No, I think I wanted to bring in Nick Fury again. So let's change this to Nick Fury and draw 3. And then he would tank the attack instead of SPDR. That'll give me options. Then we need an additional encounter card because I cycled through my deck, and that's advance. And that's going to be another Invocate, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost lost. And also a acceleration token. Let's see if we can draw anything. 1, 2, okay. Let's get that confuse off of there. Ready up and thwart for 4. We can go 1, 2, 3. No, we can't pay for Spider-Man that way. Did I pay for Spider-Man properly the first time that I played him? Wait, I haven't played him yet, so... Let's see, we have a wild resource, we have... science resource, and we'll go another wild to pay for Spider-Man. Yeah, I'll do that. And we'll go thwart for 2, ready SPDR suit. Attack for 4. And we'll go Speed Metal Alloy for all systems go. Then we can ready up. Attack for 4 again. And then I'm going to go ahead and ejection protocol. Thwart for 2 instead. Then we'll ejection protocol. Exhaust each interface upgrade. Set the hit points to 6. Give a tough status. And flip to alter ego. And then I'm just going to flip back, I think, with my normal flip option and draw 2. Alright, so 2 threat, 1 attack, just face tank. And then we got Super Giant, which quick strikes for 2. Which I'll need to defend or else I'd be stunned. for the player phase, let's go ahead and Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Nothing. You can ready up and attack for 4. Discard a card to ready up again. Ready up a 3rd time. Play Auto Octavius. Ready a tech upgrade and draw a card. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll draw 3. Two threat, invocate, 4 damage. That draws a card with Web of Life and Destiny. And then 1 encounter card will be Exhaustion. Blood to Spare. You have to find a Black Order minion. Alright, I've got 10 damage, right? Just go 1, 2 for Web Trap. Ready up. Okay, that'll end it. I probably made some small mistakes, but for evaluation purposes, we get a chance here to see what SPDR can do and what you can't do. In the early game, it's very important to use SPDR's alter ego ability, or Penny Parker's alter ego ability, to draw 2 cards as often as possible, because otherwise it can take a long time to get set up. Once you get set up, you're in decent shape. Aunt May and Uncle Ben help with the small hand size, and the interfaces give a lot of options for generating resources. Though you can run into problems where you're constrained in some way and can't take full advantage of the cards that you have on the board, and you have to do things inefficiently. But it's a very interesting hero and a lot of fun. Reminds me in some ways of Nova, where you have some big turns, some dud turns, and I think their power ceiling is about the same, SPDR and Nova, so I'd rank her roughly equivalent, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit higher than SPDR, but not as high as Star-Lord. Still higher than Captain Marvel or Nebula or Scarlet Witch, and that surprised me. So we're going to keep going, and we'll take a look at her Crossbones game on Heroic 1 difficulty. Crossbones is an interesting scenario for SPDR to take on, because Crossbones requires you to get set up quickly and not rely on your alter ego ability too much because of the low threat thresholds for completion of the main scheme. So we'll see how SPDR was able to do against Crossbones. Gonna mulligan 3 of the opening cards, and I don't get anything better. Those are pretty bad cards to open the game. So we'll go ahead and flip. We'll certainly play Web Trap here. Get out Maria Hill, draw a card. Well, maybe we won't play Web Trap. We'll get out Scarlet Spider instead. So this is a recording of a game that I played, so I can't actually make a prediction in real time, but I will say, as I've said before when I played Scarlet Spider, that my prediction, what Scarlet Spider says, when you would reveal an encounter card, name a card type, then look at that card. If that card is of the name type, deal 1 damage and draw a card. So my permanent prediction is Treachery whenever I play Scarlet Spider. And we got Host Spider, that's good. So machine gun cards going off. And then we got an attack. I should have attacked with Maria Hill, I realize that now. So 1 damage, and then Maria Hill tanks. And then we'll have 2 encounter cards coming. Raid the Armory, so that's going to be a weapon attachment. And I should have added a threat to the main quest as well. And then an attack, but Scarlet Spider will draw 2 cards there, so that's good. And we got a machine gun card. And we'll have the attack go on Scarlet Spider to avoid the discard from Power Gauntlets. So we'll use the SPDR suit and Ghost Spider to pay for Host Spider. So there should have been 2 threat on the main scheme, and I should have thwarted for 2 instead of dealing 2 damage there. Would have just delayed the quest by a little bit. The reason I should have thwarted for 2 is so that the 1 threat that comes in and the first part of the villain phase didn't immediately complete the scheme. So the villain should have 2 more threat. Otherwise, nothing else would be affected. Advancing to phase 2 of the main scheme, and he gets another experimental weapon. Raid the Armory. This time I remember to do the Insight 1, and then we discard cards again until a weapon attachment comes out. And then we got Inherited Burden, so we'll exhaust Penny Parker. So Web Fluid, Compressor, and Web Trap are both pretty high priority cards to play. We draw 2 cards with the Alter Ego action. I decide I'm going to discard 4. Discard 3 and use Psychic Link to play Nick Fury and draw 3 cards. Use Host Spider to ready up. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. And then we'll all systems go, I think. Or we can get out Web Fluid Compressor first, and then use that to all systems go. And ready up all of the interfaces. Ready SPDR. Web Trap, deal 5 damage and get a stun. And then deal 4 damage and drop Crossbones into phase 3. So 1 more experimental weapon. That's the bad one, the Retaliate. And we'll draw 3 and ready up. So remove stun, and then we got 2 encounter cards coming. Assault, so that's going to go on Nick Fury. And Hydra Soldier. So we need to get rid of that Retaliate. We'll get out Beast, grab a resource card. We'll get rid of the enemy, which brings in another encounter card. And we'll deal 5 and add a stun, take 1 Retaliate. Deal 2, take a Retaliate, deal 2, take a Retaliate, and then draw 3. So we should be able to finish this off next round if we survive the encounter cards. Under fire, that's 2 more encounter cards. An attack and a surge, that's rough. Hydra minion's going to attack. That's not that bad. I can do an undefended attack because I don't have any supports to discard. They're all upgrades. Jet Trooper with Quick Strike. And full auto. That's a rough card. Discard X cards where X is equal to the attack and take damage equal to the boost icons. It's going to be 6 cards. So there's 2. That's 0. So 2, 4, 5, 6. I barely survive. And 1 acceleration token added. And now it's going to be a challenge to deal 7 damage because of that retaliate. And I'll realize that in just a moment here. Nope, can't do that. Yep, gotta rewind. So we gotta spend a lightning and a science resource. Then I can use SPDR suit, White Tiger, and Spider-Man to pay for Peter Parker. But I decide instead I paid too many resources there. I never readied up SPDR suit, which I should have, so actually it made things harder on myself than they needed to be. But I do draw all systems go, so it's fine. So we ready up all the attachments, use Host Spider to ready up, and then get an attack for 4, and that will finish off Crossbones. This scenario surprised me. It's a relatively mild scenario in terms of difficulty, even on Heroic 1. Nonetheless, I did not expect SPDR to beat it. I also didn't really expect SPDR to beat Absorbing Man or Rhino either, but she did defeat both of those as well on Heroic 1 difficulty, and that puts her well above average in terms of champion strength. And that surprised me. That surprised me quite a bit. So I'm glad I gave her another shot after my initial impressions in the progression series, because I think that my initial impressions were inaccurate. Though this hero is nothing exceptional, she would rank in probably the B plus A minus type of tier. So we'll take a look at one more game. Here we go with SPDR versus Green Goblin Mutagen Formula on Heroic 1 difficulty. And we'll see how it goes. As usual, we're going to draw 2 cards to start the game. And get out Host Spider. Can get out Speed Metal Alloy. And potentially even play All Systems Go. I don't know if playing All Systems Go here to go look for an upgrade was the right play or not. It's possible that I should have just used Host Spider and dealt damage. Probably playing an upgrade is the right play though. Going to use the 2 upgrades to pay for the web fluid compressor, and then draw 3 cards. So not a bad early turn. Not bad at all. We got 2 encounter cards as the part of the win revealed from the Green Goblin. And then we have an attack from Green Goblin, and we'll use SPDR and Speed Metal Alloy to defend here. So no damage. Wait, did I take 1 damage? Well, anyway, we've got 3 encounter cards coming in, 4 encounter cards coming in because we're on Heroic 1. And we get Pumpkin Bombs, we get a Side Scheme. And a Gang Up, and that is tough. That's going to be an extra threat on the main quests. Pumpkin Bombs for 2, Green Goblin, or the Goblin Thrall for 1. So we're down to half health. We get out Beast and grab and a resource card. Ready up SPDR and use SPDR and Beast to take care of Goblin reinforcements. If Goblin reinforcements wasn't out, I could have flipped to Alter Ego there and drawn 2 cards and then played one of them with strength most likely. But I couldn't. I still am going to flip to Alter Ego. Though now I reconsider and I realize, oh wait, I really can't flip to Alter Ego or I'm going to go to phase 2 way too quickly. So I don't usually like to retcon like that, but I would have just straight up lost. So we take 5 damage and add a threat to the main scheme, bring in a Goblin Thrall and Intimidation. We're in dire straits, I would say. And it kind of feels at this point like SPDR is a little bit overmatched against Green Goblin Mutagen Formula on Heroic 1. Made some small mistakes that would have benefited the villain, and think I would have just straight up lost already pretty early in the game, despite having a relatively strong setup. It's just this villain comes out guns blazing, and SPDR needs a little time to set up because of that low hand size early in the game. She really relies on those upgrades, and it takes a little while to get those rolling. So in scenarios that are higher difficulty and that come out with guns blazing, SPDR is going to struggle. This is what we can tell from this playthrough, though it is just an anecdote. It's the case with most upgrade-based heroes in the game. They need some time to get going. Those being Iron Man, Ironheart, SPDR. So, we got 3 Goblin Thralls on the table. Completed phase 1. Into phase 2, and in phase 2 you get 1 additional threat for each minion on the table, so 3 minions on the table is a rough spot. I would say the odds of victory at this point are very, very low, no matter what cards come out of my deck or the opponent's deck, and it would be very reasonable to simply reset the game at this point. But when I'm playtesting on video, I typically like to play it all the way through to the bitter end. Just not take anything for granted. But if I was playing off video, I would likely reset at this point. And I'll get out Peter Parker. Flip and ready up and see what I can do about dealing with the threat on the main quest and some of these enemies. Can at least take out 1 or 2 of them. Maybe use a rapid deployment here. Probably should have played rapid deployment. Now that I'm thinking about it in hindsight, I think that if I had spent my resources differently and had a sync ratio resource available for rapid deployment. Sync ratio is that hero power that allows you to exhaust and upgrade. If I had played it that way and removed threat from the side scheme and then from the main scheme with rapid deployment, I think I would have been in a better spot, because I could have removed one more Goblin Thrall and had a better chance in the rest of the game. And SPDR does well once she stabilizes, and I am somewhat close to stabilizing. But this scenario does bring a lot of minions into play. And so, even when it looks like you're relatively close to stabilizing, you can still get overwhelmed. And I haven't dealt any damage to the boss. The 2 encounter cards bring in Goblin Reinforcements and Goblin Knight, and Goblin Knight's going to end it for sure. Along with Goblin Reinforcements, those are tough cards. I do have a web trap. There are so many play lines that you can do with SPDR that it's actually interesting to look at past playthroughs and see all the options that you had and perhaps recognize what would have been better to do. So like here, I think web trapping the Goblin Knight would have been very reasonable. Would have allowed me to take the Goblin Knight off the board right now. Instead, I opt to stun the boss and take care of the side scheme, and that was also reasonable. And I have 4 allies, so I need to retire Ghost Spider first before I can play Maria Hill, which I do in just a second when I realize, oh, I have 4 allies. So there's the 2 damage in retiring Ghost Spider, which needed to happen before Maria Hill came out. And that means using Ghost Spider's ability to grab a hero-specific event. So the boss is going to add 2 threat. I'm not in a terrible spot, surprisingly. It's going to scheme for 2, and Goblin Nation comes into play. Goblin Knight will scheme for 2 as well. Then we got 2 encounter cards. Goblin Soldier. Goblin Thrall. Well, it's hard to make headway against this quest. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Heal for 4. Get out Aunt-May and Uncle Ben and discard 3. Oof, that hurts. That could have helped a lot if I'd been able to generate any card draw with that. Well, get our rapid response. So this was a pretty critical turn. With a stronger hand, I probably could have, maybe could have stabilized. Maybe. But the 7 health and the 5 health minion were tough at this point, with no additional damage and with 8 threat on the Mutagen Cloud. Probably should put that damage on the Goblin Soldier instead. And maybe should have thwarted less, I'm not really sure. Use all systems go. Here I realize I need the damage on the Goblin Soldier instead, because then I can take out the Goblin Soldier, deal 1 damage to myself, and draw 3. Still struggling along. 2 damage. Discard 1 from the encounter deck. If it's a Goblin minion, put it into play. It is not. And we got 2 encounter cards coming in. We got Overrun And we got Assault. Oof. Well, that's going to be Peter Parker down. And another Goblin Thrall into play. Scenario just doesn't let up. So I'm taking out the side scheme and got a discard 2, and unfortunately that brings a Goblin Soldier into play. Get out White Tiger and draw 2 cards. I can get out Otto Octavius as well if I want to. I don't know why I wouldn't have gotten out Otto Octavius here. Yeah, there it goes. And then I can ready up an interface upgrade. Here I realize that I need to do this before flipping. And gonna use that to draw 2 cards. Play Rapid Response. Okay, that's fine. But I can't really do anything about the 3 enemies on the table. 4 threat comes in. Actually, it should be more than that. It should be 5. But the combined scheming ends the game right there. So, can SPDR beat Green Goblin Mutagen Formula on Heroic 1 with a good draw? Yeah, I think so. You can't have Goblin Knight or Monster on the table. That's the other big ally that comes out. You need a real strong draw from SPDR and a good setup. And even then it's going to be a long, grindy fight because yes, SPDR generates a lot of resources with her tech upgrades. But she also comes with a huge penalty, and that's that small hand size. So she did a lot better than I thought she would. But my standard was very low. I didn't really think she'd even be able to beat Rhino on Heroic 1. So she did a lot better than that. Nonetheless, I would rank her as roughly equivalent to Nova. So well above average, but in the B+, A- tier. And better than Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Nebula. But not as good as Star-Lord, and debatable whether she's better than or worse than Nova. That's very debatable. My opinion, probably a little bit better, but you could make a good case either way. So in the next video we'll take a look at this deck and do a buying guide as well. And thank you for watching.